Welcome to Burn the Ship. This is the podcast where we connect entrepreneurs with professionals that can help you go all in on your business. We talk to people that have walked the walk, talked the talk, been through all the things that we experience as entrepreneurs, and been through the other side with more experience, more skills that they're willing to come on the show and share with us so that we can run a more successful business. So I appreciate your time very much. It means a lot to me. Anybody that comes on the show shares their time with us to teach us something, to teach the entrepreneur something based on their experience. So your time means a lot to us, and I appreciate you being here. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business?
Well, thank you, Vale. I appreciate that. I'm David Gerber, and I've got several things going on. I'm a 30 plus year entrepreneur. I'm a mechanical engineer by degree. I used to work on the machines that made real film, Kodak
Mm.
film. Some people here will probably may not be old enough to remember that, but yes, we actually used to take pictures. And I designed those machines, got in software, and I've since then had three startups and a couple of exits. And so currently, I'm an investment banker with Merit Investment Bank. Love working with owners to get their businesses ready to exit properly, create good outcomes, help companies buy companies, add-ons, capital raises. I love doing that process. But I've also got two other companies that I still run. I run a consulting company as small to mid-sized companies sometimes need help with sales. They sometimes you have technical owners. They're very technical, but they don't sell well, or they've tried to hire somebody they don't know how. They typically can't afford somebody. I don't want that to come out the wrong way, but somebody like me with my kind of experience, uh,
Sure.
we'd just be too expensive. But they can afford us for a fractional period of time, right? Process. And so what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll help them restructure their sales process, their go-to-market. Sometimes help hire salespeople or fire salespeople. Set up a repeatable sales system for them. Teach them how to present well. Can't imagine how many people get that wrong. How to negotiate
Mm.
well, how to price well, how to propose well. So to increase their odds of winning and also up their per contract revenue. So we do that. In conjunction with that, we put together a professional marketing and lead generation team to help with the back end processes. A lot of people struggle with getting leads. So we've, instead of getting the email from, I don't know, the Philippines or Taiwan or whatever that says, we'll give you three websites and 500 leads a day for $1,200, which is literally stupid. We actually put a professional team together to help do it right. And I know this because when I ran my company, this is the company I hired to do my lead generation. It's almost like, I'm not only recommending it, but I was a customer.
Sure.
And I've got a SaaS company that provides contract renewals for companies that have repeatable revenue. If you're a technology company, you sell software or services with a recurring contract for revenue. Um, there's very few systems out there that manage that well. So I built one, and so uh, the goal there is eventually to grow it to have my son come run it. That's what I like to do. So that's me in a nutshell.
Well, tell me about so your 30 years of experience here, right, have um, allowed you to arrive at this place where you're seeing some of these recurring problems for businesses from a high level, right? So, like, how is it that you decided that, these are the handful of things that I want to focus on that most directly correlate with the value that I can bring to businesses to help them be more successful?
That's a great question. There's so much what I call nonsense advice out there. Um, Outbound selling is dead. You know, calling people is dead. Nobody picks up their phone. Uh, all these extreme exaggerations. Follow my three-step plan. It's the only way to do it. That's nonsense. One of the theme on my LinkedIn page is fundamentals. I've coached a lot of football in my days, and fundamentals. I've been through every sales training course you can possibly imagine, and they're all good. And what you do is you take pieces from them, and there's a common theme amongst all of them. really what it comes down to is fundamentals. You have to know your customer before you go in there. Too many people wing it, right? And then they get caught doing the old sales. So tell me about your pain. There's so many C-level people that I've talked to and worked with that say, if I hear a salesman ask me that again, I'm going to punch him in the face, right? I mean, you know, um, or they walk into a company and don't know anything about the company, what they do. So these fundamental things that I start with teams. How do you propose your product? They'll show me their proposal. It's 25 pages and there's one paragraph about the customer. It's 25 pages about you. Nobody cares about you. Uh, so, we flip that. We teach them how to flip that and make it about the customer. And what you teach them how to read a P&L. If it's a public company, what are they doing for revenue? What are their stated goals? Are they growing? Are they buying companies? Right? Be prepared. There's just fundamental things. So that's the number one thing I work on with companies, getting them organized better, structured. If you're familiar with the concept of EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, it they kind of do that at the operational level. I do it from the sales and marketing level. They create a theme. Every EOS presenter operator does virtually the same thing. It is a system. You follow the system, you get results. I do the same thing. Establish a series of fundamental things, and then execute flawlessly on those. And don't go after the shiny new thing that just showed up on LinkedIn. That's silly.
Right.
It's like a new weight loss plan. I mean,
Yeah.
right? Somebody found a berry in some small tree in the West Indies, and now it's $60 a bottle, and this will be the thing that solves everything. That's ridiculous. So same thing happens
Sure.
in sales. So
What question should the entrepreneurs that are listening to this podcast be asking themselves in order to diagnose if they are experiencing some of these problems?
great question. One of one, if you're experiencing what I call the roller coaster ride of revenue, right? It's just constantly like this. Uh, there may be a fundamental problem. There's always going to be a little bit of that. There's sometimes seasonal things. I get that. If you're in the software game, it's almost no, it's not impossible, but it's really difficult to get away from what's called the hockey stick.
Mm-hmm.
Everything closes at the end of a quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So don't fight it, right? Do your best to close early, but if that's going to happen, then plan for it. Don't complain about it. Plan for it. How are we going to get that done? And you need to start to develop. If you don't have answers for, what does your sales process look like? Tell me, what happens? How do I know if something's qualified? Are we chasing empty promises? How is the first call about setting up a demo? Oh, you can't imagine how many times I hear that. Let's set up a demo. Whoa, 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 whoa. Right? Um, or I'll send, the customer says, well, just send over a quote. We'll review it. No, no, no. Uh, so I ask them to walk me through how do you typically do things. And sometimes I'll ask a sales rep, how do you typically do things? 'Cause it's amazing how many times I get a different answer from either the CEO or the VP of sales than I do from the salesperson, right? So the story should be the same. The process should be the same. Um, everybody, and that's how you get away from micromanaging, right? If you create a fundamental process that everybody's aware of. If I walk into a meeting with my boss, I already know what he's going to ask me. I don't have to guess. I already know. So you know what? If I already know, I should be prepared. Shouldn't be surprised. So if you start to develop that cadence, everything operates more efficiently. And you'll already know. I'm not going to bring this into him or her, my boss, because I already know she's going to shoot it in the head. I already know. So either I make it more qualified or I flush it and move on. And you avoid the whiny, complaining, like, oh my God, we get rid of that. So, um, again, once you create that kind of system, and if you don't have that, you know it. If you're a CEO or a VP, you know whether you have that or not. Um, that doesn't mean that you're failing. It just means you could do better. And
Right.
that's what I try to encourage them. If you're in business and you're making money and everything's okay, uh, be proud of it. It's great. It's the American dream. It's awesome. But if you want to get better, and when I help companies sell, you're typically at least a year out from being prepared to sell. You have typically no idea what it takes to be prepared. Contracts, revenues, EBITDAs, profit streams, customer concentration, right? SKU management. There's all kinds of things that have to be prepared, and I always try to coach companies that run your company like you're prepared to sell it next week. If you have everything in line, it is amazing how much more efficient and profitable you'll be if you're already prepared to sell it. Doesn't mean you have to, just be prepared to. So
Sure.
yeah,
And what does that mean for like what is the end result for those people? They ask themselves that questions and they decide, oh, I've kind of diagnosed that maybe I am experiencing this revenue roller coaster, or maybe I am seeing ups and downs, or a lack of sufficient processes to help my salespeople be successful. What does the process look like of working with yourself, and how does that correlate with changes that happen in the day to day with these businesses?
so typically I'll get a call from amazingly a lot of times from the CEO because the VP of sales sometimes doesn't want to own it, you know.
Sure.
Um, Kind of scared, like I should be able to figure this out myself. And I know that because I was in that role. You're half scared to admit that I don't know. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, when I was a VP, so like I rolled the dice and I brought in uh, professional. Michael O. Bosworth is a friend of mine, right? He wrote Solution Selling, so I brought him and his family in to train my team solution selling, and it could not have been better. Could not have been better. And what we flushed out was people we thought were successful weren't, right? And I fired them. We created a culture of helping each other, team, working toward the same things. No Hollywood stars here. Nobody's an individual. So what typically when a CEO will call me, they'll just call me and just say, I don't know. I think our revenue could be more predictable. Okay. And I don't take them through a psychological thing. I just ask them some basic fundamental questions. Tell me about your current sales cycle. What's your ICP? Do you have an ideal customer profile? Do you have a sales story that you're? If I went up asked one of your reps, what do you guys do? And then I asked another rep, what do you guys do? Is the story the same or is it different? You'd be amazed how many times it's different. So, it's those things, and a lot of times I get what I call the eyebrow raiser, like, huh, oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that. So
Right.
that's the way it starts. It just starts with a conversation. I'm one of you. I've built companies, and not everything went great. I don't have all the answers. Nobody does, right? Uh, but what I figured out was just these series of fundamental things that if you make certain things strong, you make your odds better to be successful. If you don't, you're constantly doggy paddling. You're
Yeah.
constantly just trying to keep your head above water. So I'd like to help CEOs build a company that can run without them.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And to be honest with you, I've seen a lot of those things with companies that sales is really the everyone that's there is either sales or in customer service. They're taking care of people after they've already become a customer, right? Like my organization is that way. Um, I would like to think that my organization is a I think that we're very consistent when you ask us our sales story, right? If you ask us things like that, we have our sales process is definitely exactly in lockstep with one another. But
Great.
the what I see a lot is that if the main energy that you're putting into your business is related to sales, if 80% of your business is going into acquiring new clients like a SaaS company or technology company or whatever that may be, you would be surprised how many of those people focus on features and benefits rather than focusing on exactly what that sales cycle should be in order. Because my thing is as a salesperson, also being in that entrepreneur seat, I kind of see both sides of those things, right? It's like what you want to do is you want to build a vessel that gives your salespeople the ability to go where they want to go, right? If they don't see, when I am successful here, here is the impact that that will have on my life. You are going to experience high turnover, right? You're going to experience people that can't understand the vision of your company and can't apply the fundamental things that they need to know to be successful in your organization. It's going to set you back. It's going to cost you a lot of money, right? So I encourage you to ask those questions from a healthy perspective, not from a defensive perspective, because
Yeah.
our goal, myself, David's, all the people in my organization, is to help you run your organization as efficiently and as productively and as revenue generating as possible, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
from an entrepreneur perspective, from yourself, right? Like, what's kind of been that superpower? What's the thing that you do particularly well, whether it be from an organization perspective or from a personal perspective, that you find is irreplaceable in your journey as an entrepreneur?
Well, there's a couple things, Bailey. One, I'm a Northeast guy. I'm from Philly, right? Uh, Not a lot of fluff in Philly,
Yeah.
right? We kind of get right to the point, right? So one, I'm not shy about giving you the point, right? You're running a business. This is serious. This isn't, kumbaya and s'mores. It's hard. It's difficult, and so I get to the point. But I also want to give impression. One, I've been there. I've stepped on a few landmines. Trust me, I've almost flown a business right into the side of a mountain. Right? I got it. I understand it. And the the thing that I hope I can convey to them is that I'm one of you. Right? I don't have the three magic step formula, or in marketing terms these days, you got to have a blueprint. Look, there's no magic blueprint or magic formula, or this is the only three ways you can do it. That's baloney. And so there, you listen first. You know, tell me about your business. Why did you start the business? What are you passionate about? What do you like about it? What do you hate about it? Right? Do you want to keep running it? Right? Right. So you get those fundamental things first, and once you start to understand that, you can again start to build a framework around that. Who do you like to be around? If you're running a company, you want people around you like to be around. Uh, and that's usually the initial conversation. And I think I think CEOs can appreciate that I can relate to them. I'm not trying to sell them a program. Um, Look, at the end of the conversation, you might need like one little simple thing. You don't need my company, my services, or you might only need part of it, not me. You might need the marketing or the lead generation help. I don't know. And so it's just that I try to make a CEO of a company feel at ease. Like nobody's trying to sell you anything here. It's just I started this company to help other companies, right? And I enjoy it to death. It's one of the things that's enjoyable about investment banking. Nothing better than helping an owner get a great outcome, right? And it's not about the Lamborghinis or Ferrari. It's not about any of that stuff. It's just that oh, oh, I spent my last 15, 20 years, whatever, building this thing, and thank you, right? Somebody bought a great company, you had a great outcome, and go do what you want: fish, golf, travel. I don't, do whatever you want, but you did it. Maybe you made your family secure, right? Those are really positive things, and I just enjoy the process. So,
No, yeah, and I as well. I wasn't able to see that picture at the beginning of my journey in the payments world, and now being in here for, almost a decade, I have clients that have been with me for 8 years. You know what I
awesome.
mean? I have, and we were their first ever payment processor, and we've been with them for a long time, and we work really hard to overcome normal business stuff that makes it really hard, right?
Right.
Like we understand some of the stuff that you deal with, and we want to be an asset to you in wading through those waters. And I think that you guys kind of take that same perspective, and we say it all the time on the podcast. The people that we talk to, because we just released episode 400 this week, right?
Whoa,
Maybe it was late last week. And I would bet you, I mean, in eight years, I could not have talked to anything less than 50,000 people about their credit card processing, right? So the the thing that I emphasize so much to the people that are listening to the podcast is that these successful entrepreneurs that are willing to share their time with you and I to educate us on what they do well that helps them grow their business
Yeah.
are normal people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They go through normal everyday stuff.
Yeah.
They go through car accidents and divorces. They go through family members being sick, and then they go through the highlights of life as well. A wonderful summer with their kids that are out of school, or traveling, or all the things that you really enjoy. Taking your grandkids to Disney, like I've seen all of those things, and everyone's goal may be a little different, and everyone's journey is definitely very, very different. But I can promise you, the things that you find that are holding you back in your everyday life, the people that we're talking with have experienced a lot of those same things, and they found ways to navigate those obstacles in a way that lend them to a higher probability of being successful, right?
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
talked about it also on the podcast that there's a little bit of luck involved, right? Some people are lucky. Some people, their journey's a little bit easier, and maybe I'm talking to you right now that your journey was very, very difficult. But regardless, if you surround yourself with people, honestly, like myself, like David, that really want to show you, hey, here's where I've been. Here's where how you can give yourself the highest percentage chance of not going to that same place because it sucked, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I think makes a lot of this stuff relatable, right? So I appreciate your perspective as well. If you have them, go ahead. Don't let me cut you off.
Oh, no, no, no. I'm agreeing with you 100%. You start to feel good about the people you're working with, and like you, I sold my business 9 years ago now, and I still stay in touch with some of the people that were my clients. Some of them are retired, and they connect with me on Facebook and want to know how I'm doing and my family. And I mean, when you can do that for that kind of length of time, you did something other than sell them something, right? And they'll recommend people to me, like, yeah, if you need help with your business, don't call anybody but Dave. Just call Dave, right? Uh, and the typical thing they'll tell them is that if he can't help you, he probably knows somebody that can, right?
Right.
And there can't be a better reference than that. That's your
Really.
that's your greatest reference. So that's what I'm at. And all of us have had the bad bosses, right? All of us, right? And um, you never want to be that, right? I've enjoyed helping mentor salespeople, double and triple their income, just by doing the fundamentals better. I didn't. Forget making quota. Quota is like the baseline. You should make quota. But what if I can teach you, and how to double your income? You don't have to change, the product or anything. I'm going to teach you how to do it the right way. And from that, I've had people go off and start their own businesses, and they very kindly uh, say, a lot of that's thanks to what you taught me how to do that. Again, can't be a better pleasure than that. It's a
For
great
sure.
feeling. So the more I can do that, yeah. Hey, look, I like making money as much as anybody else. I don't do it for free, but at the same time, if you can do a great job, um, people will pay if you can help them and show value. Um, and that's what you try to do at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's as boiled down as you can make it,
I think
right?
so. Yeah, I think
Um,
so.
well, if people have decided you're someone that can be an asset to them in their corner,
Mhm.
how do they find you? How do they get a hold of you?
Great. So I have a company on plane consulting, ONPLANE consulting, and they can find me there, or D Gerber at onplaneconsulting.com. You can call me there. Um, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me there. I'm in Southern California. Uh, so, of course, everybody works remotely. I've got clients in Paris and the UK, so it doesn't really matter. But uh, yeah, and even if somebody just wants to talk, they don't have to buy anything or pay me anything. Just run something by me. I'm happy to help any way I can.
Well, that means a lot. It means a lot to me that you're volunteering some of that time to be an asset to our audience.
Sure.
So I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
And kind of the way that we always in the podcast here, right? It's kind of an allusion to our name. Burn the ship, because everyone has that in my mind. All the entrepreneurs, they have this light switch moment where they decide, okay, I'm a business owner now. Maybe it's when you get your logo or you get your first client or whatever that catalyst for you to make that switch in your mind that I'm a business person now and I need to find a way to make this successful. Um, what has it been like for you to take that leap? You know, what has it meant for you in your life? And just kind of sum up this whole entrepreneur experience for us so that the people that are watching can understand why they should be inclined to also take that chance on themselves.
Ooh, well, I'll tell you, you go into starting your own business with all the thoughts of making a bunch of money, right?
Sure.
Right? Uh, and you start that business, and then invariably it doesn't happen as fast as you think it would. And and then I started mine like 2005. One of my business 2005. Well, if you remember, 2008 was
Yeah.
one of the worst financial debacles this country has seen, and I had to sell my home. Uh, so that was pretty traumatic. My kids were in school yet, and had to move, had to sell my home. You talk about scary, right? That's pretty scary. But then it came back. We weathered it. We got through it, just through determination and just perseverance and hard work. And you mentioned it early. Sometimes there's a little luck. We got a couple of accounts a little lucky. We also got a little unlucky, right? 2008 by itself. So uh, it, it's a process though that I would never change again. My partner was my best friend. He's like a brother to me. You can't. There's no money that can measure that, and we're still great friends. We talk every week, and so would I do it again? You bet your ass I would, every time, right? And so if somebody's going through that or they're thinking about starting, I can maybe help make sure you're prepared for some things, right? Um, Better prepared maybe if you haven't done it before, or if you're going through something. Sometimes you just need somebody that can understand what you're talking about. You just need somebody to talk to just say, okay, here's what's happening. How do I get out of this, right? Or what do I do to fix it, right? Um, you just like to be that person, right?
Yeah.
So that's the yeah. It's the greatest. I've always said for sales, it's the best job and the worst job you'll ever have. When it's
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
when it's going well, it's like better than oxygen, right? And,
Yeah.
and when it's not, oh my God, right? It is no fun. But I've found because you get that roller coaster ride, the nicer you are to the people on the way up when it's going well, those people will catch you when you come down the other side. And
Yeah.
you will go down the other side, by the way. I don't care
Yeah.
who you are, right? Uh, and the more of a jerk you are to the people on your way up, they will literally watch you hit the ground. Um, so just keep that in mind, right? Just be kind, be nice, right? And it levels itself out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I hope you guys reach out to David, reach out to myself. Please listen to the rest of what we got going on and Burn the Ship. Our sole goal is to help you guys run more efficient, more effective businesses, make more money, get some of your time back, and really find a place where you could be happy about the process that you've made or the progress that you've made through the processes that you've established. So,
Awesome.
David, again, thank you very much. We'll put all of your information in the description, so please go and check out David's information there and please connect with him. And if there's anything that I can do or my organization can do to be an asset to you, please let us know. We love to be a shoulder to be leaned on. But like I said, your time means a lot to us, and I look forward to do it again in the future. So
Thanks.
burn the ship.
Thanks, Bailey.